Imagine waking up tomorrow and your favorite restaurant suddenly stops serving half of its menu. Your laundry delivery is delayed by days. Factories slow down and small businesses start saying something shocking. This feels like a second COVID lockdown. But this time, the problem is not a virus. It's a narrow stretch of water thousands of kilometers away, the Strait of Hormuz. And what's happening there could quietly disrupt India's LPG supply and impact the industries across the country. Most people think global conflicts stay far away from their daily lives. But in today's interconnected world, one shipping disruption can travel across the oceans and end up affecting your kitchen, your local restaurant, and even the price of everyday products. Right now, the tension in West Asia are disrupting shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, a route that which more than 80% of India's LPG import pass. And the consequences are already beginning to show in unexpected places across India. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most strategically important trade routes on the planet. Every day, massive tankers carrying the oil and liquefied petroleum gas move through this narrow corridor connecting the Persian Gulf to global market. For India, this route is critical. India is one of the world's largest energy importers and a large portion of its LPG supply travels through this very passage. But when geopolitical tensions rise in West Asia, shipping companies become cautious, insurance costs rise, delays begin, and suddenly the flow of energy becomes uncertain. And when energy supply becomes uncertain, entire economies start feeling the pressure. The first signs of stress are already appearing among the businesses that depend heavily on commercial LPG. Across several Indian cities, restaurants and food outlets say commercial LPG cylinders are becoming harder to secure. Some restaurants have already begun trimming the menus while others avoiding dishes that require long cooking times. In some places, outlets are temporarily focusing on beverages or quick serve items because when fuel supply becomes unpredictable, running a kitchen becomes a daily gamble. For small businesses operating on thin margins, even a small disruption in LPG supply can create serious operational challenges. But perhaps the most striking example comes from Mahalakshmi Dhobighat in Mumbai, the world's largest open-air laundromat. For more than a century, this iconic place has handled the laundry for hotels, hospitals and households across the city. Today, many workers here rely on LPG-powered drying machines. But with the supply disruptions, cylinders are becoming difficult to obtain. Some workers say deliveries are delayed for days. And in their desperation, many are being forced to buy the LPG cylinders from the black market at higher prices, simply to keep their work running. For them, the crisis is not theoretical. It directly affects their daily income and survival. But the impact goes far beyond the restaurants and laundries. Several manufacturing sectors depend heavily on energy and petrochemical inputs. Textile industries, for example, require a large amount of energy for processes like dyeing, bleaching, and finishing the fabrics. When energy costs rise, production costs rise too. Already, some petrochemical-linked materials used in plastics, paints, and textiles are seeing the price increase. Certain chemicals used in industrial production have surged sharply in recent weeks. And when the input costs rise, companies eventually pass those costs down the chain, which means consumers may start noticing higher prices in everyday goods. Even heavy industries are beginning to feel the ripple effects. Steel production relies heavily on imported coking coal, and India imports a large share of this fuel. Shipping disruptions linked to geopolitical tensions can delay the supplies and push the price upward. Some global shipping routes are already experiencing higher freight costs and slower movement of cargo. For industries that operate on continuous production cycles, even short disruptions can create major technical and financial challenges. This is how a distant geopolitical conflict slowly transforms into a domestic economic problem. Experts warn that the current disruption could spread beyond LPG and power. More than 70 global commodities have already seen sharp price movements in a single week, highlighting how sensitive the global supply chains have become. Industries that rely on petrochemicals from plastics and textiles to hygiene products and packaging could face rising costs if the supply disruptions continue. And when manufacturing costs rise, those increases eventually reach everyday consumers. In other words, what begins as a shipping disruption can slowly become an inflation story. The Strait of Hormuz may look like just a thin blue line on the map, but in reality, it is one of the arteries of global economy. And when that artery faces disruption, the effect ripples across the industries, businesses, and households far away. Because in today's world, a crisis in one region rarely stays there. If you found this breakdown useful, please subscribe.